Hey folks, just a quick video for you. This, as you may recognize, is a Indiana Jones fedora. Now, I've been looking into getting a replica of the Raiders of the Lost Ark fedora for quite some time now, the past couple of years, and I purchased this back in April. So I want to go over this. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard of Andrea Tognarelli, but that was who I purchased this from. They go by the Vintage Hat Maker on Instagram, and they're Italian, based out of Tuscany, and so I got in contact with them via Facebook, and we talked back and forth about what I was looking for in a hat in my Indiana Jones replica. And so this is the Raiders of the Lost Ark take on it. He did have the option of getting it weathered, but I did not get that. I figured I'd be doing enough with it on for it to eventually get weathered by itself. It does have the Raiders turn in it, so if you look at it like that, you can see that the hat is kind of cockeyed from where the actual brim is supposed to be, from where the actual bash and pinch line up. Now you can tell this is the Raiders of the Lost Ark hat because it has that high and tight pinch there in the center, and it also has the Raiders turn, like I mentioned, it being to the side, so the bow kind of sits up. This part sits here above the ear as opposed to the center part, like on most hats. So the reason I haven't done a video up till now is because I was sort of waiting to see how well it held up in reality. So this is Beaver. I have not done anything to alter it, but like I said, I purchased this back in April, and so I did take it to the camp that I work at throughout the summer, and wore it throughout that, and it's held up very well. I mean, no weathering on the the brim or anything like that. I mean, it gets a little bit of dust in it, but you just sort of rub that off. I mean, it worked great, keeping the sun out of my face and all that. And it was just a excellent all-around hat. It survived in the rain and the wind and all that. And I'm trying to think of anything else I can say about it. Oh yeah, so it is stiffer than the hats that Harrison Ford did wear in the movie. The ones that were worn throughout the original 3 Indiana Jones films were rabbit, so they were much floppier than this, but in the heat, I've noticed that it gets fairly floppy, so if you're standing out in the sun for a long time, it gets floppy. Like I said, I had been looking for a good replica of the Indiana Jones fedora for quite some time, and I had looked at a couple options, first of which was, of course, Adventure Built. They were the hat company that supplied the hats for the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the newest Indiana Jones movie that came out in 2008. But it seems like their orders have gotten very backed up, and so I didn't really want to wait that long for mine. I also looked at John Penman, who was trained by one of the founders of Adventure Built Hat Company, so I would be getting essentially the same quality hat, in my opinion, as Adventure Built, just with John Penman's label on it. And then, of course, I looked at Herbert Johnson, which was the hat maker who made the hats for the original 3 indie films. But I did a whole lot of research on this, looking at the different materials, the types of pinches, and things like that, and I learned that Herbert Johnson's quality has, according to some people, gone down in quality. Now, I haven't owned a Herbert Johnson, so I can't say anything to that matter, but they also did change their rabbit supplier, so it would not be as accurate to the films, and also they don't pinch it like this anymore. They do have a model called the Poet, and it is the closest version to the Indiana Jones hat, but it is not what they were using back in the 80s. So, I asked on Reddit, and everybody who, I was like, what's a good option besides Adventure Built? and everybody on Reddit seemed to really like Andrea Tognarelli of of the Vintage Hat Maker. So I hope this has helped you if you've been looking for a good Indiana Jones hat replica.